Oh, my fishing partner Lucy's throwing in the towel. She's melted on the seat here. She's dead asleep. I'm out here in the Big Bay of Collins Lake. I'm soaking bait. Nothing much is happening. So this is a great time to talk about the trout trolling pyramid. We are on level 2, kind of tools of the trade as it were. And it is time to talk about sonar units. And for a lot of you techie guys out there, this is going to be painful because I am not a super high-tech guy. I work on computers and cell phones and sonar units and all that kind of stuff, just like you do. But I am not a big tech nerd. So if you want some real technical talk, you're going to have to go elsewhere. Here's what I use my sonar unit for. First of all, if you're serious about trout fishing from a boat or from a kayak, you need a sonar unit, all right? And I will say this, sonar units that were $1,000 and super sophisticated 10 years ago now run $300, and they're totally appropriate. They're very good for the job, but just know that the technology in our low to medium price sonar units today is what guys were paying top dollar for 10 or 15 years ago. The fish haven't changed. The structure hasn't changed. So those units, they will serve you well. Here in the FHS pontoon boat, Wes hooked us up with a big fancy Humminbird, and he plays with it and he messes with all the settings and all that. And it's awesome. I don't really play with it that much. I use it the same way that I use the Lowrance Hook 5 unit that I have mounted on my Hobie Pro Angler kayak. There's 3 things really that I want my sonar unit to do for me right out of the box, right off the top. 1, I want to know what my speed is. Now, guys are going to say, well, that's ground speed versus water speed. I don't care about any of that, okay? If I put a lure in the water and the speed on the sonar unit says 1.9 and I catch a fish, that's the speed I'm going, okay? And my ground speed versus water speed versus the speed at 8,000 feet with an atmospheric pressure of X and a gizmobob of Y, and I don't care about any of that. Put a trolling fly in the water. I'm going 2.2. I'm not catching fish. I slow down to 1.7 and I start catching them. Guess what? That's my benchmark. 1.7, not 2.2. So I need speed. Number 1, I want to know the speed. Number 2, I want to know the surface temperature, okay? Surface temperature dictates how deep I'm going to fish. 65 or less, I'm confident that at some point during the day, I'm going to have trout on the surface, particularly during low light periods, morning, evening, periods of cloud cover, and anytime there's chop on the water. If I have water that's 65 degrees or less and I'm targeting rainbow trout, I'm confident that I can catch some trout in the top 5 feet of the water column. I might prospect deeper with another line, but the bottom line is I know that at some point during the day, there's going to be fish up top. If the surface temperature is 85 degrees, I don't need a device that tells me what the temperature is at 80 feet of water, okay? If I'm up at Lake Shasta and the surface temperature is 80 or 85 degrees in September, and I look at the screen and I see a bunch of bait and a bunch of arches at 85 feet, guess what? Those are probably trout, maybe salmon, maybe spotted bass, but they're definitely rainbows. So where am I going to put my lures? 5 feet over that war I see get going on the sonar screen. I'm going to use my downriggers. I might use dipsy divers, and I'm going to catch fish. So 2 things, all right, right out of the top, temperature and speed. Number 3, I need to be able to see fish and bait. I need to be able to evaluate what is going on down there. So when I do find myself at Lake Shasta and it is 85 degrees on the top, I could say, look at all those marks down at 85. Those are shad. Those are something bigger eating the shad. Better put a lure down there about 5 feet over that melee and see what happens. And most of the time, I'm in the fish. Simple as that. The other tool that a sonar unit is great at is you're trolling along. We're trolling along. I'm drinking a soda. You're eating pretzels. We're having a good time. We've got the downriggers down. One is at 40 feet. One is at 45 feet. We're trolling in 60 feet of water. And all of a sudden, it's 20 feet deep. We see the bottom coming up. we get on it, we raise our stuff, we don't lose our expensive downrigger weights, we don't get tangled up, stuff like that. So it is a tool that can very much help keep you out of trouble, whether it's, you know, banging into a rock with the boat, getting your downrigger tangled, something like that. So my whole philosophy when it comes to fishing is keep things as simple as possible, and that's what I do with my sonar units. I don't care if you're running a Humminbird, a Garmin, a Lowrance, a Furuno. Well, if you're running a Furuno, you probably know how to use a sonar unit because that's what the real pros run. That's what your ocean salmon skippers run and super serious kokanee fishermen run, stuff like that. The bottom line is, all the units are good these days. They're all highly sophisticated, and in their simplest form, they're pinging a sound down below your boat. When that sound hits the bottom, it comes back, and you know it's 80 feet deep, and the bottom looks pretty hard because it's got a red line on it, not a yellow line, okay? It also pings off a fish, and you get a nice arch. That's a point right there. If you've got a lower end sonar unit, take it off the mode where it shows a little fish. Everything looks like a little fish. Could be a leaf, could be a bubble, could be a piece of grass, could be your own fishing line. You want it on the mode where you can see the arches and you can see little clouds of bait and you can see the bottom and you can see that big boulder that's gonna bust your prop, okay? Keep it simple. Unless you really know how to use these units, don't go out and throw out a big wad of cash on a unit, okay? Get something moderate, medium priced, learn how to use it, learn what you're seeing on it, and keep in mind, you need to know the speed, you need to know the temp, you need to be able to see fish. Beyond that, that's over my head. Anyway, that's my philosophy on sonar units. Your mileage may be a little bit different. You may want to get all super techie and buy a $2,000 or $3,000 unit and really learn how to use it. And I say, good for you. I give you a big thumbs up. While you're doing that, I'm going to be out trolling in a circle somewhere, hopefully catching some fish. I'm Kel Kellogg. I'll catch you next time right here on YouTube, and we will continue this discussion of the trout trolling pyramid. It is the pyramid that leads you to consistent trout fishing success. I'll catch you next time.